No, they're saying they are religious, and so since they're religious, they need to be Republican or conservative, because those are the people that are religious and care about religion.
I hate that answer so much.
Welcome to The Latter-day Lens, your home for faith-promoting, unscripted discussion of current events. If you'd like to contact us, you can send us a text message through the link in the show notes. You could also email us, latterdaylens@gmail.com. If you want to know more about the show, please visit our website, latterdaylens.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Latter-day Lens. It is so good to have you all with us today. I am your host, Matt, and with me as always is Shawn, and we're so happy to welcome Melanie with us today. Melanie, how are you?
I'm doing so well.
Melanie, how did you do in your classes this last semester?
I was only in a choir class, and it was pretty chill.
I think you didn't answer the question. How did you do in your choir class?
See, that's a good question, because like a large percentage of my grade was attendance-based, and I'm not good at attendance, but for that, I did really well.
All right.
This is what an education is for. These kinds of experiences, right?
That's
right. It teaches you your strengths and weaknesses.
You're bad. You have a weakness of attending choir? Is that what it teaches you?
It teaches me that I shouldn't have classes scheduled for right after work meetings.
Nice. What a life lesson.
Yeah, that's important.
You needed college. You needed college to learn that.
Couldn't have learned it any other way.
Hey, listeners, sorry we weren't with you last week. Like I mentioned before, I was visiting family, so I got to see my granddaughter, and I got to spend a week with Melanie and her husband. And all of this time away from the podcast has made me think maybe we should end the podcast. So we're strongly considering ending the podcast. So
maybe just leave it at that, and let's see what people say about that.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go to the mailbag. So one of our listeners wrote in and he said, I've been meaning to ask, I would love to know Mark's reference for when the prophet said, chill out baby cakes, in reference to living the law of consecration. He mentioned this several weeks ago, and I want to know why we shouldn't be trying to live this covenant now. I've never heard any of the brethren tell us not to live a covenant fully. I bring this up, Shawn, because sometimes you take the stand of like, we don't have to live the law of consecration right now. Do you? Sometimes you say that.
Am I answering about the baby cakes reference? Or
no. Who cares what Mark said? I would just want to say this. If anybody listened to what Mark said close enough to remember his exact quote, you're listening to Mark too closely. I don't even listen to Mark that closely. But no, some people say the law of consecration is something that's like, we don't have to do it now. You don't have to live it fully now. There will be a time, or there was a time, or maybe there will be a time when we more fully live it.
So isn't the evidence that the law of consecration is not in command now, that we are commanded to pay tithing?
But the listener is saying the brethren have never told us not to live that covenant. We raise our hands to covenant to that in the temple.
No.
Right?
No.
That we'll live the law of consecration. We accept the law of consecration.
I prematurely said no.
Yeah.
But doesn't the law, but the covenant we're making is that we will consecrate ourselves.
Yes. Everything we have to the church.
To the church, right? So you're suggesting, well, then every member who's been endowed has covenanted to live the law of consecration.
Yes.
So
we give everything we have to the church.
You believe you're breaking that covenant by not giving you only give 10% to the church and some of your sweat equity.
I give everything they ask for. So fast offerings, if they ask for help with meals, anything the church ever asks for.
Then you've answered the question, right? If they ask you to serve in a certain calling, they ask you to give 10%, and they ask you to give fast offerings, and you do it. If that is your way of living a consecrated life, then you're living the law of consecration.
Okay. What do you say, Melanie?
I'm thinking about, I'm trying to remember the phrasing of the covenant that we make in the temple. And I don't know if it ever specifies that we are consecrating to the church so much as it specifies that we're consecrating ourselves to God and building up his kingdom. And so, I don't know, I haven't been super invested in previous iterations of this conversation. But I think the form of the like how we live the law of consecration may change with time, right? And so there was a time when living the law of consecration meant giving everything to the church. But now maybe as we consecrate things, we aren't asked to give them to the church, but to use our own judgment in what it means to consecrate our time, talents, and efforts.
It still says
that's a thoughtful answer. Wow.
It still says you consecrate everything to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the building up of the kingdom of God and the establishment of Zion.
So Matt, here's the other spin on that. Perhaps the only way the law of consecration will actually be lived is when we who have covenanted to live the law of consecration naturally do it. In other words, you can't live the law of consecration like your favorite philosopher Marx says, by force. You can't do that. That will never happen. That's not a consecrated life. So perhaps we're under I'm open to it, Matt. Maybe we're under the law of consecration, but until we choose to naturally give everything we've got, and everyone is doing that, you can't have a city of Enoch, right? You can't have a Zion in place because we're not choosing to like individually do it.
Okay. I just want to clarify that my favorite philosopher is Plato and Popper. Those are my two.
Dad.
What's your favorite thing what's your favorite thing philosophy that Popper contributed to the world? What's your favorite Popper philosophy?
I 100% said that to poke at Melanie.
Oh, is that your
to make her feel uncomfortable? Why does that make you uncomfortable, Melanie?
I've had some discussions over the summer with people who espouse various philosophers. And I don't like the fact that I know who Popper is at this point. I don't like that knowledge exists in my head.
Name drop, Melanie. Who is it you know that likes Plato and Popper?
So Terrell Givens hates Plato, kind of. He thinks Plato's done a lot of things to mess up our understanding of God. I think I'm quoting him correctly. And a certain computer science professor at BYU, who I don't think anyone would know his name, so I don't need to name drop him. He's the one who really likes Popper.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a student that does philosophy and computer science that loves Popper and Plato?
No, the student you're thinking of does philosophy and math, and he doesn't like Popper but does like Plato. The student likes Bayes.
Yeah, Bayes.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow. Well,
none
all
of
our
the
listeners
to your podcast care about this.
All listeners who have fallen asleep as we talk about philosophy, you heard the name Terrell Givens and that excited you.
Yeah.
I had to say I like Plato because Terrell Givens hates Plato, therefore I love Plato. Hey, Shawn, I was going to go watch the movie The Odyssey, and then Melanie told me it has a lot of really bad stuff in it and I shouldn't watch it. So I don't even know what The Odyssey is about.
I trust Melanie. Honestly, Melanie, I trust you almost exclusively in every opinion you've got.
Well, let me tell you, my favorite philosopher is Marx.
Stop.
Oh, no.
She's just messing with Shawn now.
No. Dude, your father just came out in you.
Melanie has never read Marx in her life. She knows nothing that Marx has ever said.
I think I got like 4 paragraphs in.
Yeah.
Shawn has read more Karl Marx than
whereas
Melanie.
I have read the Communist Manifesto multiple times, Melanie, and I'm qualified to have an opinion.
Tell us one thing Popper said that you like.
Popper's all about scientific stuff. You don't care about scientific philosophy.
Yeah, it's all about the philosophy
Except
of science.
the soft social scientific philosophies.
That's what we care about. It's not what Popper cared about.
All right, let's move to the thought provoker. So first up this week, Brunella Tipismana. I don't know how you say her name. She's a Peruvian journalist. She traveled through low-income areas in the United States like Arkansas, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. And she found that American poverty looks very different from poverty in developing countries.
Can I just, is it inappropriate to say, no duh? Is that inappropriate?
No, that's fine.
Like,
you have to wait your turn, Shawn. You have to wait your turn.
Sorry.
I actually didn't know this, so I'm glad that you knew this. She says that while poor Americans often have cars, appliances, and air conditioning, they face deep loneliness, severe drug addiction, and social isolation without the strong family support networks common in Latin America. Additionally, she says American culture often blames poor people for their struggles instead of recognizing bad luck or lack of opportunity. Americans often say that the poor in the United States have it much better than the poor in people in other countries, but maybe we are wrong. Is it possible that it is worse to be at the bottom of the economic ladder in the United States than it is to be at the bottom in Peru or some other Latin American country? Is it possible, Shawn?
You want me to answer first?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
Of course, it's possible. Anything's possible. I guess it depends on what you value as an individual. Depends
Yeah.
what you value.
But I've heard you say this, Shawn, where you're like, poor people in America have it pretty good financially, right? They're not hungry, they're not homeless. Like even if you're homeless, it's pretty good to be homeless in America compared to other places. The poverty we saw in Ukraine, right, where we saw people digging in dumpsters and like looking at stray animals and all, like we saw destitute poverty in Ukraine. We never see that in the United States, right? To that same degree that we
Oh,
saw
unless
on
it's
our missions.
well, I mean, we see drug addicted poverty where you've got
Yes.
people digging in dumpsters,
Yes.
or mental health poverty where people are digging in dumpsters, where drug and mental health are sometimes related, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying that Ukrainians or Peruvians, perhaps without
Have
drug
it better.
addiction or mental health issues, are just so poor that they're driven to that. Is that you're saying, right?
No, what I'm saying is like in other countries, maybe you have a dirt floor, maybe you don't have AC, maybe you don't have good food, but you have other things in life like family support. Your community is not judging you. You don't have the same level of drug addiction that we
How
have in the United States.
I mean, I didn't get too deep into the article to prove out those thoughts, but you've been in third world countries. I have too. Do we see what maybe this confirmation bias Peruvian person is saying about Peruvian poor people being better than American poor people? That did you see that in these third world countries? Do you see this like rallying together of families who are taking care of each other? I see families living
Yes.
together out of necessity. I don't
Yes.
see this like you do. You see more families living together, like in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
It is cultural and I guess necessary because of economics that families that you're living with grandma and grandpa, you're living with mom and dad a lot longer.
Yeah.
But that's not because they're more charitable and want to take care of the poor, is it? That's because
I think they feel an ownership over their community and over their society. So I can't think of a condition in the world that could be as poverty stricken as Ukraine was when we were there, right? They were in the middle of a great depression in Ukraine.
on my last podcast, on the Mission Stories podcast, I just interviewed 2 Ukrainians, and I didn't know this, but they called those 90s the hungry 90s.
Mm-hmm. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But
we had coal miners who hadn't been paid for 9 months, who like worked and labored, and they didn't have any money. Yeah.
And what did they do? I mean, I'm not going to say we didn't see drunk people. I saw drunk people passed out on the street
All the time.
I saw a lot of terrible things, but as a society, what I saw was people coming together. And we came
In
into
what
their
form?
homes as visitors. We had so much more money than what they had, and they would scrap up whatever they had to scrap up to feed us because we were their guests. There was like this charitable, this
Yep.
giving,
That's
this
true.
looking out for your neighbor, even in the midst of extreme poverty where
That's
they didn't
true.
even know. And when I would go back to visit, like I didn't realize this, but I'd be like, "Hey, can I stay with you?" They would give up their bedroom and sleep on the kitchen floor so that their guests had a nice place to stay. And so in my view, in Ukraine, and I think this person has a similar kind of view with Peru and Latin America, other people act differently about poverty than we do. They say, I may have nothing, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that my guests and my friends and my community and my family feel supported, feel welcomed, feel loved. Whereas she would say the United States, we judge each other. And if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'm in need, I'm struggling, I'm having a tough time," we'd say, "Well, go get a job. We'll go figure it out." And in some ways, like we allow people to kind of like fall into this drug addiction, this sort of like this approach to solving problems where we say, well, take this pill, or maybe go see this doctor, or maybe go take this medicine.
But wouldn't you say the true factors aren't culture or nationality or geography? The real factors would be family, like values of family values, religion, maybe education. Like those would be the real factors that influence if a society, for example, in the LDS community, it's fantastic. Poor people are rallied around. They are supported. They are lifted up. They are helped.
Can I push back on that just a little bit, Shawn? Because I think I didn't read the whole article, but in the snippet my dad sent, the author was especially highlighting experiences in the Midwest and Oklahoma, which is where I served my mission.
Oh.
And as like I hear about these experiences of isolation and poverty, I can think of multiple people I interacted with on a regular basis who were just stuck. And sure, they had their kids, they had some family members who were there with them. But in Oklahoma, where like so much of culture and society is built around churches as institutions, where everyone has their home church that they go to and their pastor they're besties with, there were still these people suffering in isolation because they were just stuck and they didn't know how to change their experiences or change their, I don't know, situation.
Circumstances.
Yeah, circumstances.
But isn't
Go
that
ahead.
also true in Peru and Ukraine? They weren't getting out of poverty because capitalism was evil and holding them down. They weren't getting out of poverty. They didn't know either. They didn't know there was. So I was saying the common factors: family, religion, and education. Right. So was it education in the Midwest that was holding them back? Because if they didn't know how,
I I don't think it's capitalism, right? It's not about that. It's about American culture is this pick yourself up by your bootstraps culture. The American dream has its positive side, but the negative side of the American dream is if you are not Elon Musk, if you are not Mark Cuban, if you're not one of those super successful people, you're probably just not working hard enough. You're probably just not smart enough. And and since they lack that idea in other cultures, when they see someone down on their luck, they actually believe, oh, they're down on their luck. Like they're having bad times now. Bad times might come to me in the future. And so, sort of like as this idea of karma, I'm going to look out for the people that are down on their luck so that when I'm down on my luck, the community will look out for
yeah,
me.
I think
And
you're overstating it.
I can
Go
think
ahead,
of
yeah.
areas I served in where you had like a wonderful church community, right? Everyone loved each other. Everyone was bringing the casseroles, doing what they could for people. But there were some households where, due to, I'm going to call it mental disability, I don't know the details, but it sure seemed that way. You had people who were coming to church like stinking of cat hair every day. Their house was falling apart. They couldn't afford health care. And it wasn't because the members of the branch didn't love them, they did to the best of their abilities. But there was still this incredible disparity. And there was really no hope of the people in these situations ever obtaining a higher quality of life.
But to pretend that doesn't exist in Peru, Brazil, Ukraine, to me is crazy. Of course,
My
what you just described is abundant in those third world countries.
In my experience, people from other countries live with their families forever. Families would not let that happen to someone in their family because they would live with them and take care of them.
That is definitely more common. I agree. I've seen that too, but it's not out of. I think it's out of necessity, right? There's in a
Yeah.
third world country. I've never have the opportunity to get my own home, so we just have to live together.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's charity driven.
I don't, and I'm not saying that I'm like fully committed to the idea that this journalist is right in what she's observed, but I do think that it's possible that in the United States, it's worse because we provide everybody this baseline standard of living that nobody gets to fall below this kind of baseline. And so people who are sort of suffering in isolation all by themselves, like we lose community. Like the people I know in my community who are in poverty are isolated from the rest of the community. It's very hard for them to integrate themselves into the social circles or the social networks of the people who aren't in extreme poverty. Even the people in my ward, there's still, even though we minister to them and even though we know them, there's always this still sort of like this social distance that's maintained between the people who have and the people who have not. And I don't know that that's in other cultures the way it is in the United States.
Yeah, but you see that in the church too. I've never seen that in the church. I have seen.
I see it in my ward.
Yeah, I don't see it in my ward, not at all,
Yeah.
or my stake, or the places that I've been. I see an abundance of outreach to those who are in need, to just unconditional love. You don't see that, huh?
Can I ask a question? because I've
Okay.
never had experience like living in a culture that was experiencing extreme poverty, right? And so in my mind, especially in the US, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is very pronounced. It's easy to tell when you're more economically well off than someone else, and like even from my experience, it's hard to bridge that gap because a lot of the times the people in extreme poverty, like, I don't know, it's hard to connect with them. And so in other countries, like in Ukraine, was there as pronounced of a gap between the haves and the have-nots?
Yes.
You
Yeah,
would say
of
yes?
course. The
I-
mafia. Think about the mafia
Yeah,
and
but
the way that they were.
but that's a teeny percentage of the community, of the society. Look, can we
Oh.
take a better, Melanie, a better example would be Brazil. Brazil literally has communities where you've got these favelas, and the favelas are just house on house on house on hill on hill. And those are defined by either forest or giant walls. And these walls surround really, really rich, wealthy homes, and they are locked out completely. Literally, one side of the street is just favelas and poor. The other side of the street is this guarded, heavily guarded, heavily walled, absolutely wealthy neighborhood. And that's all over. It is as visually distinct as it can be.
Yeah.
We don't see that here. We see people.
Oh,
I see
come
people.
on. No gated communities in Southern California, Shawn?
Yeah, but
With
the
tents on the
disparity.
outside?
But the disparity between with tents on the outside. No, I
Of
don't see
course.
that.
I mean, California went in and moved all the tents, but it used to be you drive down the freeway and you see tent next to a wall of a nice community. Of course, you see that in California.
Thank you, Gavin Newsom. Yeah.
For cleaning up. I don't know where all those people in tents live now. I don't know what happened to them.
They're pushed to certain spots throughout the city. They're like downtown areas.
And soon they'll build a wall around them. And they'll be like, you don't want to go there.
Thank you, Gavin Newsom. That's exactly what he did. He literally did separate them and said, you guys can just live over here and the rest of us will live over here.
Do you
I'll give
guys
Shawn
think that
and Melanie. Go ahead.
perhaps the reason why it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God is because when we're rich and well off, it's harder for us to connect with God's children who aren't?
Melanie, now you get all the points. That was bringing in the Latter-day lens. That was a profound question that neither of us will answer, but the listeners will answer it for themselves.
Okay.
All the points.
I said we're moving on. That was nice, Melanie. That was nice.
Shawn, you're not giving any points on this?
Melanie.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, let's move from that spiritually high point to some data, because I know Shawn loves survey data. Ryan Burge is one of my favorite guys in the world. Anyhow, he examined survey data from over 68,000 American college students to study the link between academic majors, political ideology, and church attendance. Students in fields like nursing and finance attend church most often, while finance majors stand out as the most politically conservative group on campus. Sorry, I have to pause here. Melanie, didn't you always want to marry a finance bro?
No.
Oh, sorry. I got that wrong. Okay.
There was
In
a TikTok reel about it, though.
In contrast, students in the performing arts, English, and environmental studies attend church the least and lean far to the left politically. While frequent church attendance generally correlates with right-leaning politics across most majors, there are some exceptions. Nursing students attend church at high rates but remain politically in the middle. African American studies majors regularly attend church, but they're strongly left-leaning in their politics. So the question is, do these data and these broad patterns confirm the perception that people have that conservative Americans are more religious than liberal Americans?
Matt, would your hero Ryan Burge slap your hand right now and say, really, you're going to conflate correlation with was it causation?
I know that he would not do that, because that's most of what he does is conflate correlation with causation.
Oh, you're okay with that?
I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't cause it, right? But so many of my students, if I say, why are you a Republican? They'll say, because I'm a religious person, and Republicans are more religious and conservatives are more religious.
Are you making that up? Are you over-representing that? Is that happening all the time?
That
doesn't
happens
make any
all
sense.
the time.
That makes no sense what you just said. There's no logic to what was just said.
Do you ever hear
I'm
that
more
at BYU?
religious. Wait, what was the answer? I'm more religious because I'm a Republican? Because of my politics?
Republicans are the party of religion.
But are they
Republicans are
telling
the
you that they're religious because they're political?
they're saying they are religious, and so since they're
Oh,
religious, they need to be Republican or conservative because those are the people that are religious and care about religion.
I hate that answer so much. Like, that makes me so angry. That's crazy.
This is why I wanted to have
Ignorant.
this topic.
It's
Melanie,
so
you hear
ignorant.
that at BYU, right?
I'm trying to decide if I hear it from at BYU or if I just heard it from you all the time growing up. But
Do people feel that way?
I don't know. You hear the phrase "good Christian values" associated way more with the Republican Party than the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
that's just
that's
because
because
they're pandering and they
right.
use those phrases thinking that that's, the large group of evangelicals. That's just
But
pandering, right?
there's
I
a
think
perception
college
out
students cave to pandering.
Amen.
It's good marketing.
Amen.
there is a perception out there that drama students and English students and environmental studies students are both not super religious and super edgy when it comes to politics.
So is it fair, Matt, to say, like, even Scripture repeatedly warns us against assuming that outward categories like tell us the condition of someone's heart? Like, Scripture warns that over and over again. To me, it's a political game to put people in boxes and categorize them and define them that way. Like there's absolutely no way you can define someone's faith or humility or repentant nature by what man-made political party they belong to. That is absolute ignorance to think otherwise, in my opinion.
But what about their political ideology, like that they're conservative or liberal? Is maybe that closely tied to their faith? Is like conservative more close to the teachings of Jesus than liberal?
What version of conservative? Tell me what version of conservative and what version of liberal. Is it honest, right? Like, is it Abraham Lincoln's version of conservative, or is it Donald Trump's version of conservative?
Ronald Reagan. I know if I'm in a group of members of our church and they hear that I study political science and they want to start talking politics, and I got to be careful not to offend them. I tell them how much I love Ronald Reagan, and then everybody's okay with that. Like Ronald Reagan in our church is like fine. But if I'm in a group of political scientists, I better not say how much I love Ronald Reagan because they're not okay with that, right? But like Ronald Reagan conservative seems to like fit really well with our church. But also with college students today, they do think Donald Trump conservative fits really well with our church right now. I don't know. I'm just telling you what they tell me.
He's the only brand of conservative we've ever known.
Oh my!
I know that's
gosh,
really,
that's
really
true.
sad, but it's true.
That's incredible, Melanie. What insight you just gave us.
Did you know that I was going to do this as a topic for the podcast? But in the last 10 years, our national debt has doubled in the last 10 years. So when Donald Trump was elected 10 years ago, our national debt was $40 trillion. And now it's $80 trillion.
Which is the opposite of what a traditional conservative would. And doesn't the government, like every day I read a new article where the government is buying stakes in some company or the government is getting into the blank industry. That is so anti-conservative. Donald Trump is not conservative.
We're spending billions of dollars on like a White House ballroom or on like a pond in Washington, D.C., or to build an arch or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? But there's not a latter-day lens on the government debt. So it's right. So you could say, well, I'm a Trump conservative.
Melanie's face was correct. How's there not a latter-day lens on the idea of living within your means and being Is that what you meant, Melanie? What do you mean by that face?
Yeah, like we don't talk about it a lot these days, but I grew up, like, wasn't it President Hinckley? I don't know. Someone said, I want every member of this church to live debt free. There are like 3 things it's worth going in debt for. But if it's not one of those 3 things, don't do it.
That leads me to a question, Melanie. How is it that you only think that there's one defined conservative character because it's Donald Trump saying, well, we only lived during his, but you know who Gordon B. Hinckley is? He wasn't your era.
I think, like, as human beings, we slowly become aware of politics, right?
Okay.
And the first year I really became aware of politics was 2016.
Okay.
And I think that's probably early for people in my generation because my dad's a political scientist. And so as I was like entering the world of politics, Donald Trump was shaping the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. You remember distinctly the day that Barack Obama was inaugurated president of the United States.
Well, yeah, but I only remember that because I was racist.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I forgot about Kansas. Sometimes Kansas can get a little racist.
Yeah, but there's something to that, right? Like I barely remember who the president was before Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was Romney and Obama, but before Donald Trump, we had a Democratic president. And so people like maybe had a picture of what the Democrats were and what they stood for, and it was gross school lunches. And then Trump became the Republican we all knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you believe in like conservative family values, if you believe that abortion's wrong, you know the Democratic Party doesn't believe in that. And so you've got to go
values. I think more and more everything is defined by transgender rights, right?
And
people
gay
who
rights.
are, yeah. I think it's LGBTQ rights is more what defines, and abortion. Abortion defines that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't realize that if you look at religion in America, most religious Americans actually identify as Democrat. There's only one group that,
which is again the flaw in this guy's survey, right? Because he's defining religiosity as attendance at church, which is one of 30 factors that determine who's religious, right? If you're doing another survey and you're asking a bunch of people, are you religious based on, do you believe that you should do good to other people? Mm-hmm. That's different data. So for you to say that Democrats or liberals are more religious, I think is just as wrong as him saying that Republicans are more Christian.
What I meant to say is by religious identification, right? If you look at Muslims, most Muslims are Democrat. Most Buddhists are Democrats. Most Jewish people are Democrats. Most Catholics are Democrats. The only group where most of them are Republican is evangelicals and members of our church. And so that's where I think the misperception comes in, because so many members of our church happen to be Republican. The members of our church think that, the Republicans are the party of religion, when in reality, no, it's just us and evangelicals that are more Republican. Other faiths are more Democrat.
I feel strongly that the best way to discuss this is not to continue to try to correlate or even this category I'm making up with this category I'm making up. God makes it clear that all individuals, no, you political scientist, God makes it clear that all individuals, the individual is the most important unit or entity in his mind. A child of God is unique and different in every way. You can't define them by, well, if he's Republican, he must be a Christian. And if he's Democrat, he must be a real Christian.
You would be such a terrible social scientist. You would be so bad at it. Like from the day I met you, you were like, stop putting people in boxes. But I found a career where what we do is put people in boxes, and it's super, super fun. Because sometimes you're right about the boxes people are in.
Points to Matt for admitting that he thrives on the idea of putting people in boxes.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I don't know. For the last month or so, I've been beating on the drum of the communist revolution that's happening in the United States of America. So this last week, Angie Nixon, a Democratic socialist and Florida state representative, won the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate for the state of Florida. She defeated Alex Vindman, a more moderate candidate who raised far more money and was well known for testifying during Donald Trump's first impeachment hearing. She supports policies such as universal health care, affordable child care, and a stronger economic message for working people. She will now face Republican Senator Ashley Moody in November, and many people think she's going to lose. But the Democratic Socialists of America members have won primaries in New York, Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Michigan. So here's the question, because I've said it's inevitable, but this is the question. Should Americans be worried about the successes of this movement in the Democratic Party?
I think I lean kind of Democratic socialist, so I'm not worried.
Really? This is the other thing I said, is that your generation loves this stuff. So why should we not be worried? Because I'm telling you, you were on the bike ride with me when the old people said communism's bad or something like that. And I was like, well, as a political scientist, like everybody there's good and bad of communism, but the prophets have said it's bad.
So we weren't alive when the prophets said that.
I was going to say, Melanie, before you answer, can I just point out that if you are teaching me that your generation likes to define your beliefs systems, like your political, spiritual belief systems, on just the limited time that you decided to get interested in it, then the idea that you lean Democrat socialist means you don't know what happened in the history of the world through World War I, World War II, communist Russia, communist
China,
like if you don't,
totalitarian North Korea.
right? So maybe is there a little bit of ignorance in there? Like if you're saying I don't know what Republican conservatism is before Donald Trump, then maybe you don't know what socialism is before Mamdani.
I think that we have a hope that we can do it differently, right? We hear about the horrors of
That's what they all
socialism
say.
and communism and other places, and we're like, well, we won't do it under Stalin. We won't do it under Kim Jong-un, and maybe it'll go differently. Because I think what we are doing is we're seeing people in poverty. We're seeing drug abuse. We're seeing income inequality. And we're saying, we don't know how to fix this, but universal health care might be a good first step.
I think that's like saying, look, I know I've touched the hot stove 5 times with my bare hands and it burned me, but I think I can just do it slower or softer or come to the side and it won't continue to burn me. No, the hot stove will always burn you.
Experiment, Shawn. We're the American experiment. Democracy didn't work till we tried it. Why not socialism?
But it's because it's got to be based on principles. For example, the Bill of Rights, which you can't do under socialism. You can't.
You sure can.
You cannot.
Shawn, which of these policies should Americans be afraid of? Universal health care, affordable health care, and an economic system that helps people like get out of poverty. Work hard, you can live the American dream.
Those are policies. Those are policies that have never worked and will never work. Name one instance where it's ever been applied. Those are policies that are unprincipled that will not ever work. You can't do it. You have to apply the use of force in taking the. Let's talk about Marx, right? You have to take over all of the resources in order to actually apply unlimited resources to give everyone universal health care.
There's not a single country in the world where they have universal health care where they say, let's get rid of this.
Who has universal health care? Like
Canada has it. They want to keep it. Great Britain has it. They want to keep it. Spain has it. They want to keep it.
But we've gone over this on the podcast a million times. I show you people talking about how I don't get my healthcare in Canada. My sister-in-law, I don't use healthcare in Canada unless I get a cold or something. But anything serious, I got to come to the United States. Otherwise, I won't get in for 6 months or 2 years or 10 years.
The other side of it is I have all these young people that I talk to who want to be nursing majors or doctors because they want to become fabulously wealthy, right? It's like one of the wealthiest professions in America is to be a medical doctor. And I say, why don't we just have a system? Shawn, if you want to keep the private option that your friend from Canada likes to use in the United States, we'll keep that system. We'll just have a universal healthcare system paid for by the government that competes with it. And people can choose. Do I want the free healthcare or do I want the expensive healthcare? And that would be really nice because it would create competition and the invisible hand could help even out some of these salaries. The sort of like less great doctors could be the government doctors, right? And the super good ones could be in the private system.
The problem is the invisible hand can't function unless it's a free market. And
it's
government,
free.
No, it's not. The government is not a free market. The government
the government subsidizes a cheaper option.
There's the same word in free market and free healthcare. That doesn't mean, good job. Did you learn that in college?
I'm just saying, like, if the government can do it cheaper, as it is, the government there is a public, like, what do we call it? Universal healthcare. Universal healthcare exists for the seniors in America that are taking up all of the expense of the healthcare system. So if the government were just going to say, we're going to do this more efficiently, we're going to save ourselves money and maybe not have such a big debt, because instead of using an insurance model where all of the seniors use this insurance and pay all of these outrageous prices to private providers, we're just going to have a public option. And if you're a senior and you need healthcare, go to the government healthcare facility. If you want to, you can still pay for private healthcare. But there's going to be government healthcare. That's how we're going to pay for the seniors and the poor people and anybody else who wants it. Just come to the public clinic.
But that will drive the cost of living up so high, because you now have a government who's already crazy in debt, who is now going to go deeper and deeper and deeper in debt in order to provide free healthcare, which it's not free, Matt. It's not. The people will pay for it.
They won't go into more debt because it'll be less expensive for them. If you think about how much money we spend on insurance, right? And how much, like my son went to the emergency room and I think it was like $3,000 for that emergency room visit, right? And that's because we have that health insurance model where there's not this direct fee paid to the provider where you know what it is up front. So instead of the government paying that $3,000 every time my mom goes to the emergency room, they pay the emergency room doctors a set fee. And they say, you're going to see everybody that comes to you, and you don't get to charge whatever you want to charge. You're going to just take a salary like all of the public school teachers do.
Who do you think is, so to you going to the doctor is free? It doesn't cost anything. Look how great this is. It doesn't cost, who do you think's paying the salaries of the doctors? Who do you think's paying for
the government?
Who's paying the government?
Taxpayers.
That's right. So all of our costs are going to go up because our taxes are going to go up, and it's going to be, we're going to live in a completely expensive society. Inflation will go up. Oh, really? The taxpayers will
We should tax the rich.
Yeah, that's
tax
right.
Elon Musk to pay for our healthcare.
So the reason we should be afraid, it's not for the reason Shawn said, that the young people are ignorant and dumb and they're going to ruin the country.
Well, we might be. I'll accept that's a possibility.
The reason we should be afraid of the Democratic Socialists of America is the MAGA crowd took over the Republican Party and made it so that people like Shawn and myself feel homeless, that there's not a party that represents us. And it's not just us. It's like almost everybody our age in the church is like, what happened to the Republican Party and why can't I be a part of it anymore? What the Democratic Socialists of America are doing is they're the MAGA of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
And when they take over the Democratic Party, there will no longer be a party that's reasonable, rational, like somebody I could support and get excited about. Right? I have to, in every election, choose between socialist, MAGA.
Yeah,
socialist,
the two
MAGA.
Extremes. That's right.
Could we fix this with ranked choice voting?
Well, so to me, that's the fear. The fear is that the moderate parties of America, when Republicans and Democrats were more in the middle and kind of got along, they failed. They failed to the point that Americans are angry. And they're going to go to the extreme on the Republican side, or they're going to go to the extreme on the Democrat side, because they want something to get fixed and they want something to get done. And so to me, that's the thing I'm afraid of, is that the moderate, middle of the road voices are gone. Mitt Romney's gone. Jeff Flake is gone. John McCain is gone. And likewise, all of those middle of the road Democrats are going to be gone. And I'll only have to choose between MAGA or communist.
Points to Matt. That's just preaching truth, I think.
Do you think it's inevitable? Can we fix it, Shawn?
Yeah, we can fix it. Don't say how.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how.
Okay. Okay, here's the big question.
I think we can fix it. We have to educate our younger generation so that they don't think that one of these two extremes, Melanie, is the better option. And we're a younger, smarter generation. We can do Trump's version of Make America Great Again better, or we can do socialism better.
That's Shawn's solution.
That wasn't offensive, Melanie? I'm sorry.
No, she's not offended. She has me for a father. Like, to offend Melanie, you got to dig deep.
Oh, yeah.
One time I asked one of my kids, I was like, are the kids at school mean to you? And they're like, you're my dad. There's nothing I've ever had. No one's ever bullied me at school more than you did as a father. I'm fine.
Does that give you thick skin, Melanie?
Oh, yeah. Good. Oh, yeah.
Good.
All right. This is the last big question on property, but it's a doozy. It's a good one. And it fits with the theme of the other topics today. So I think that these verses from the New Testament suggest that God is a proponent of communal ownership of property. In fact, I think that the number of verses that teach communal property ownership is so much higher than the number that teach something different, that suggests that maybe communal property ownership is an eternal principle
Amen.
Am I-
Hallelujah.
Well,
Am I wrong
hang
about
on.
that? I listed all of them about communal property ownership, and then I did all of them I could find, except for Shawn's favorite. These are just Bible verses.
For our listeners, just for context, when Matt speaks passionately about something and provides references, it doesn't mean he actually believes in what he's saying.
But for our listeners, maybe it is. What if communal property ownership is an eternal principle? Because when I talk doctrine with Shawn says doctrine is taught in all dispensations, right? Or it's
Yes.
How do I know it's doctrine? It's
Truth
taught in the standard works, and
it's canonized, and it's truth as it always has been, is, and always will be, as the scriptures define it. Yeah.
Yes. So communal property ownership.
Here's the problem. I'd be willing to concede if the verses that you provided, this long list of verses, meant what you're saying it means. None of these do. And all that believed were together and had all things in common and sold their possessions and goods and parted them to all men as every man had need. Now you're using that and you're going, that means, let's see, what was your question?
Had all things in common. That's communal property ownership. You have all things in common.
Okay. So again, like back to our first topic, we four have decided to commit to the Lord and make a covenant to live the law of consecration. There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping you, Matt, from going and consecrating everything you have and parting of everything that you have. So until we do it, it's not going to happen. Now, are we sinning because of that? Is the Lord unhappy with us for doing that? You think so?
I don't know. I'm saying, like, thou shalt not kill, we would say, is an eternal principle, right?
Yeah.
So no matter, there might be exceptions here and there where people murder or something like that. But as a general principle, we would say God says, don't kill each other. And maybe he's saying to us, like, we should be finding ways to implement communal property ownership in our lives.
Democratic socialism.
That is democratic socialism. It's just not what it's saying. Let's break it down. Acts 2:44, since you provided that. The people who believed got together.
The righteous people.
And they had things in common. So they're homogenous, right?
All things in common. All of their property was communally owned.
No, they had their beliefs in common. They had their values in common. What do you mean?
That's not what that means.
And all that believed were together and had all things common and sold their possessions and goods. And
hang on.
them to all men.
Hang on,
you're
they
clumping all things common. It doesn't talk about. Not talking about their beliefs. It's talking about all their things.
No, you're clumping it all together. There's a huge comma there, and that's important. It says they believed together, so they had the same belief system and principles and faith, and then they had all things in common. Meaning, we all believed in Jesus Christ. We all were repenting. We were all committing to take care of the poor and to love our neighbor. When we had those things in common, now we decide to get together and go, why don't we sell everything we've got, live on a commune? Like, for example, Matt, when you come and visit me, I take you to a restaurant. Remember the restaurant's name?
Ludmilla.
No, it's Yellow Deli. The Yellow Deli.
Yellow Deli.
And the Yellow Deli is operated by a group called the 12 Tribes. Do you know what the 12 Tribes do?
They're living the eternal principle of communal ownership of property.
They're living this idea of communal ownership of property. So if you join the 12 Tribes, you will go live and eat and serve, and you'll come to the restaurant and you'll do dishes and you'll be a server, and you won't get paid.
The Shakers did the same.
The Shakers did the same. You won't get paid.
Look,
and you'll
Sean,
have these wonderful restaurants. And you'll make
look at Acts 4. Look at the next scriptures. Acts 4, 32, 34, 35.
Read it.
Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. As many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them and distributed what was made unto every man according as he had need.
Right.
It's not about beliefs.
But so the conditions, but he's talking about the city of Enoch, right? He's talking about when Zion can become Zion, or when Christ comes again, and when we can accomplish this. But the thing is, we're still in the fallen world. Christ isn't here leading, and we have not attained to the level of the city of Enoch. So that's to strive for, and we do, right? We do live the law of individual consecration. We do.
Okay, but if it's an eternal principle, we should codify it into law the way we do other righteous and eternal principles.
Really? Because the law says thou shalt be baptized at the age of 8?
The law says thou shalt not steal.
Yeah, no, but
it says thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, but you're saying codify the law by government means.
Codify prohibition.
Yeah, exactly.
It was awesome. Only the really bad people drank alcohol. You didn't have public drunkenness. Melanie, is it an eternal principle?
I think I buy that it's an eternal principle. But I do also think that sometimes God implements eternal principles in different ways. Like, I think I'd probably say that polygamy's an eternal principle. Even though I don't like that, it makes me uncomfortable. And I really hope it looks different in the eternities. But we can see there are times when God commands his children to practice polygamy and times when he doesn't. As much as I'd love us to live the law of communal property right now, it's possible we aren't ready for it.
So you believe it's an eternal principle. So how do we reconcile verses like D&C 132.2 that says, we believe no government can exist in peace except such laws are framed and held inviolate as will secure to each individual the free exercise of conscience, the right and control of property, and the protection of life. The freedom to
communal ownership of property
the way I want, and the freedom to life is in the same category as the freedom to own property.
You don't get to go to the Doctrine and Covenants. I left all those.
What section is this, Shawn?
This is D&C 134. The whole chapter talks about. In fact, it goes on to.
But we could go to section 42, where it says that we give up everything and live the law of consecration.
But how do you reconcile those? Those are dissonant.
Doctrine and Covenants is specifically talking about the American government, right? You have these saints who are being persecuted, and they're trying to establish for themselves a community where they can live. And so Doctrine and Covenants has to be interpreted in the context of the American government. And sometimes in the context of the American government, you can't perfectly live eternal laws.
You're suggesting that the D&C doesn't apply to the Ukrainians in 1994?
Right. That's what she said.
No way.
Okay, maybe the American government is limiting, but I think the Doctrine and Covenants is us trying to live God's laws in an imperfect world.
This is what I say.
As is Scripture, who says in Acts 2 and 4.
The number of verses that talk about communal property ownership exceed the number of verses that talk about the inviolate nature of property rights.
That is absolutely not true.
Listeners, we would love to have you. I actually haven't shared any of these verses in the rundowns to the podcast.
That's right.
So the listeners don't have any of this like big long list of scriptures.
And I'll just give you a couple.
You should have them compile their own list and tell us who's right.
That's a great example. Yeah, good idea. But because Matt's providing things and he's interpreting it pretty loosely by saying that Luke 12:33 means communal property, and it says, "Sell that you have and give alms." It's saying to give alms, and that means we have to get rid of private property. It doesn't mean to.
If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor. Yeah. That's right. I give half of my goods to the poor, and that's not even enough. Says right what Zacchaeus does. Not even enough. Yeah. It's okay. I didn't think that I would persuade Shawn. I was really, really happy that I persuaded Shawn on some of the Bible verses, but this one it felt like was a step a little too far that Shawn wouldn't join me on this path. Some members of the church don't fully believe the Bible the way that I do. and they like the Doctrine and Covenants a little more.
I like sometimes you still think you could trigger me. I guess maybe you do sometimes, but most of the time, no.
No, it was great.
You could try.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me this week. Listeners, let us know what you think both about these topics we've discussed and whether you think the podcast should shut down forevermore, because I had an awesome vacation. Okay, thanks for joining us. Talk to you again next week. It's always sad to say goodbye, but we hope you'll join us again next week. New episodes drop each Wednesday. In the meantime, subscribe to the podcast, give us a like, and visit our website for past episodes. You can comment on the show at realmormonism@gmail.com. Thank you for making us one of the most listened to podcasts. We love our listeners.